What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Let's fix the chair angle and fix this fucking camera angle, make that shit square. All right, so I'm gonna talk to you guys today about something that most people are not gonna admit to. Most people fight against. And I'm bringing it to you because I'm in the middle of it. I'm in the middle of it. And I've actually tried to figure out a little bit about it and understand it more. So I've actually had, and what is it, Jerry? What is it? Okay, my ADD's got the best of me. Midlife crisis. Now, my midlife crisis started when I was about 17 years old. Anybody that knows me for that long can tell you that I was doing things that, pushing the envelope on things back then that I probably shouldn't have, when you should have been reserved, but I used to do stuff like that then. But here I am in, 2020, and I stopped cutting my hair, of course, which people, Jerry, what's the deal? Like, it looks so different, like midlife crisis. They start making fun of it like it's a bad thing or a negative thing. And I don't believe the midlife crisis is a negative thing. So I've been in touch with a few other people that have gone through the similar things, and another individual who is actually a psychologist, and put together some information that I think is important for you guys, the viewers, because a lot of you guys are 35, 40 years old. I have a lot of people my age that watch this. Not so much younger people, but more people my age. And understanding this makes it not negative. So let's just kind of get at it. So you live basically 2 lifetimes in 3 parts. Okay, now bear with me. I know that math doesn't add up. So you have 2 lifetimes. You have the core of who you are, and then you have the creation of everything that you need to learn to become the most overall holistic version of yourself. Okay, which means that you understand right from wrong, you know what to do in certain situations that you did when you were younger, whatever. But it starts like when you're born to about the time when you're, I'd say, like 18, 19 years old, and you have one version of you up to that point. So up to that 18, 19 years old, that is the most pure form, the most innocent form of yourself that you'll ever have. Because you're like a puppy, like you're young, you're learning, everything is new, everything is like impressive, everything is just, it seems like loud all the time, and you're constantly going through new things. And that, about 20, that starts to happen, right? So you kind of leave that older version of yourself behind. And at 20, like when you go to college and stuff, maybe if you had short hair, you start growing it out. Maybe if you had long hair, you cut it off. You get into other things. You meet new friends that, are really from other places than where you're from, right? So like where you're in your little pond when you're growing up, you're learning a lot of stuff, right? You're becoming efficient at being you in that little pond, that little area from 0 to 19 years old. All you know is your life. When you hit 20, 19, 20, you start going to college, you start learning about other things in the world, other people, other cultures, other lifestyles, other everything. And that shit it hits you pretty hard, because now it's very confusing. Like, oh, you knew this, and now it's a wide open world that's trying to feed you all this information that you have to make decisions based on what you feel is right, what's accurate, what represents you, what you like, what you don't like. That's what happens when you're like 20. So you leave that older version of yourself behind. So for me, and I'm going to use myself as an example because that's the easiest way to explain it to you guys so that you can see in detail what I'm talking about. So at 11 years old, I wound up playing the bass guitar. Music and art came very easy to me. It was just, I'm a creative person by nature, and I have to have that creative outlet doing something. And bodybuilding became another creative outlet, like artistically, for me to create a physique. So I was constantly creating music, creating my physique, creating art. And I got to the point where I was not just efficient music-wise, but I was doing things at 14 that not many other 14, or 13, 12, not many other kids that age could do. It was a very advanced part of my life. And then I hit 20, and the bodybuilding bug bit, and I started to focus only on that. But at the same time, I was now out in the real world. I wasn't in my bedroom playing guitar anymore. I wasn't playing at local, bars and stuff. I was now out in the world. I was going to the city. I was kind of moving around. I was traveling. I was going places. And you start to learn new people, or meet new people, learn new things. Hey, buddy, breathe down, you're licking my leg. And you start learning things about different cultures, and you take on little aspects from other people in your life. You take on different demeanors and mannerisms that they have. Like if you're dating someone, you don't realize you may have a saying that person said. Like you take little pieces of those people and places and things, and it becomes part of you. Like you're growing, you're becoming this new person, right? So that goes from like 20 to about 39, okay? So you got roughly about 19 years where it's nonstop fucking information coming at you from all different directions that you don't really understand, that you're learning, that you're observing, that you're growing from, right? And all of a sudden you get to the point where you just have a good concept of all of that stuff. Like you have a concept of things that you don't know, that when you just hear about them, you go, oh, I can see how that works, because now intellectually you're older, you have wisdom, you can piece those things together and it makes a little bit of sense even though you don't really understand it. So now what happens is you get to the point where you're 40. And, you know, for me, mine was about 42 or 43. So around, we'll say around. And all of a sudden I started going, okay, I know who I am now. I know what I like. I'm confident in myself. I'm confident in the way that I think. I'm confident in my intelligence. And I'm confident in everything that I do because I've taken everything I've learned in that 19 years and it's created me. But I understand it now. And it's the new me. Then you realize this new version of you that you've created from all this information, the old you, right? That 14-year-old kid playing the guitar disappeared. Like he ceased to exist, but he really didn't. He was always inside, but you're so concerned with the external stimulus that's going on in learning that you forget that purest, most innocent form of you has been pushed away and just shoved aside. So once you get to that point where you feel like you've observed enough to where you kind of are who you're gonna be, like you're set in your ways, you know things, you're constantly learning and you know you're constantly learning, you start to revisit the things that you miss, right? Now, for some people, they automatically go out and get, like guys, they get a toupee, they drive a Corvette, they dump their wife and get a 19-year-old little girl. Like they do all this shit like that, which I think is them understanding that part of them was lost. Like that part of them when they were younger has kind of been disappeared, but they don't remember what it was. They're not looking into themselves. They think, okay, well, I need to be young again, right? I went through this, I need to be young again. So to be young again is like drive a sports car, get a hot young chick, like things that don't make sense because it's not who they really are. It's not their personality. And you can look at all these individuals going through midlife crises, these guys, and say, they're all doing the same thing. They're all buying the cars, they all have the younger girls, they all got a toupee. They're like, what the fuck is going on? Like they're acting like idiots and it's a joke and people laugh at it, right? It's a stigma, it's a stereotype. Midlife crisis. What a midlife crisis really is reconnecting with your younger self to say, I've gone through this whole journey of 19 years and I've come back full circle and I understand I learned all the things I need to and I'm going to continue to learn throughout my life. But basically, I am who I am as a human being, and that's where I'm at. Like, I did it. I accomplished my goal of learning and creating and understanding and growing as an individual. Now I need to revisit my younger self because that part of me has to go into this equation. Like, it all has to go together to make a solid, holistic individual, right? Now you go back and revisit that. And you realize, I really did miss playing the guitar, right? I really did miss it. Like, there are times now where we're on low COVID lockdown, I'll play the guitar for like 2-3 hours nonstop and just sit there and keep playing. And there are times where I'm like, you know, Aaron goes to bed and I pick up the guitar and I just play. I play for like 2, 3, 4 hours. I'll play whole songs, whole albums, and I'll just fucking smile and I just remember the times of being on stage at 14. I go back and play the songs I used to play in those bands and stuff, almost like reminiscing about it, and it feels good and it's coming out. And then I realize, like, I could have done all this, right? I could have. But I think my learning experiences and my knowledge and my wisdom wouldn't have been to the level it is now, or I wouldn't have been able to create what I did create now if I had been stuck on that. Because that really, in my purest form, that music and stuff like that, takes up a lot of time and energy. And that's all you want to do. Like, it was like bodybuilding. Like, to be a good bodybuilder, I had to let music go. To be good at music, I'd have to let bodybuilding go. Like, that's how that works. Like, you could, for me especially, I can only focus on that one thing and put everything into it to get the most out of it. If I have 13 things going on, I don't get the most out of it. I usually wind up getting a lot less than I want to out of it. So my productivity goes down if I'm spreading myself too thin. But I didn't. I left that metalhead, that guitar player, that person in the band, I left them and I went on to do other things. And now I sit back and I go, hey, it's okay. It's okay to be a bodybuilder. It's okay to be a musician. It's okay to be a writer. It's okay to be a fucking fire juggler. It's okay to be a circus clown. It's okay to do whatever you want to do, as long as you don't lose track of who you really are and realize it's just a part of who you are and not all that you are. So when you were younger and you were going through that, all you were basically was that person playing the guitar, right? Now it's like, well, Jerry's a business owner, he's a bodybuilder, he's a trainer, he's a husband, like all this stuff I wasn't before, right? He's a godfather, he's an uncle, he's a brother, he's a cousin, like these things that I am now fulfilling my potential to be all these things at once, because that's what we are. We're all multifaceted people. None of us are just one thing. If we are one thing, that means we're stuck in that position of not learning, That's a problem. Like, you need to learn, you need to grow, you need to evolve. So for me, when people point at me and go, midlife crisis, I laugh and go, fuck yeah. Matter of fact, mine started when I was 17. Like, I'm fully aware of what it is, how it works, and the fact that it's not negative. It's negative if you're one of those people that are trying to fight your nature, your human nature, which is getting older. And human nature is to not want to get old because you realize death is coming. Eventually, you're not going to be there. So you want to live like you're young. That doesn't change the fact that you're still getting older and dying, right? And we're all dying every second. So people don't wrap their heads around the fact that you're at a place now where a midlife crisis means accepting this is where in my life, and then realizing how much you've learned and realizing how much you've grown as an individual, and being able to get back to your original pure self, to usher that into this new version of you that you've learned from being all over the world, so that it's now a complete version of you. And to me, that's not a negative thing. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's not, no, don't get me wrong, there are some very lost individuals out there that will do the toupee and the sports car and the young girl and, drinking and driving, get pulled over for the first time at 55 years old while they're drunk, doing dumb shit like belly flopping in the pool off the fucking roof at 50 years old. Well, you didn't do it when you were 20, because they're fighting that fact. They don't want to get older, but they haven't progressed mentally, emotionally, and become what they actually wanted to or should have been. They're kind of stuck in between their original selves and a little bit that they've learned. So they haven't really progressed to the point where they're okay with letting go of all of that and saying, midlife crisis, fucking say whatever you want. Like, that's the thing. A part of a midlife crisis is you don't give a shit what other people are saying. You don't fucking care. You realize it doesn't matter. You realize where you are in your journey, and that's all that really matters. So people can talk shit all they want. They're on their own journey. If they don't progress and ever get to that point, that's on them. That's their problem. So I just wanted to reach out and explain it to you guys. Like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely changes that people have seen in me. People mention them all the time. Like, it is definitely the old me meeting the you me, combining together and creating the overall best version of me. Now, where does it go from here? I don't know. I don't know. I know this fusion of the old and new me are coming together now. I don't know if it's like Voltron, like once you put them together, you become more powerful. Like you become, instead of one lion, it's like the 4 lions that become a robot. I don't know if it's like that. I don't know if it's like you put them together and then you're ready for the next level of your evolution where you decide to, be whatever it is you're going to be next. I don't know what's next. But I know as it comes that each one of these phases are like levels in a video game. Our lives are like video games. We're constantly trying to get level up to the next level, whether it's money-wise, business-wise, or whatever the case may be. So hopefully this video will reach whoever needs it out there. Midlife crisis is not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing, right? If you understand what it is and you can take stock of everything that you've done. Like, I literally sat down and said, for 19 years, this is what I've done. Holy shit, that's a lot of stuff, right? I went, my life was like Forrest Gump. Like, it's literally like Forrest Gump on steroids. That's what my life was like. And I'm like, this is amazing. But the fact that I can sit back at, 44 and realize that's what happened, and realize that those pieces of me are still there. You know what I mean? Like, I've been actually, revisiting things like, shit, The Crow. I love The Crow when it came out, the movie with Brandon Lee. It's been like 30 years since it came out or something like that. The other night I watched it, and I literally sat down and I said, man, I remember going to see this in the theater with my buddy Donnie, like my training partner. We saw this movie like 5 times in the theater together because we loved it. It was so badass. I remember the music, the soundtrack from that brings me back to the time period where I'd come back from college. I moved back home. I was dating Kat at the time. I was training with Donnie. I was competing. Like, I'm able to go back with the things that relate to when I was younger, use those as almost like a trigger to get myself to think about those things, visualize those things, and feel those instances again, and actually live those moments again. Like, feel the moments that I lived before. And it's just a simple movie. Like, that's all it is. And it's not like, oh, I'm pining to be young again. Man, 44 is awesome. Now, don't get me wrong. Right now at 44, I couldn't go back and do the shit that I did back then. Like, I couldn't. I have friends that are like, oh, let's go to this club. This club is opening, man. Let's go. I'm like, dude, we're 40 years old. There's no fucking way I'm staying up all night at a club. I'm just not. I'm not doing drugs. Like, there's a lot that you can't do anymore, but a lot that you don't want to do anymore, right? And I didn't realize when Dorian Yates said, he made a comment. He said that even if he could have his physique the way it used to look now, if he could have that physique now without working for it, he still wouldn't want it. That was a powerful thing, meaning he had outgrown it, understood what it was, and he's not there in his life. So hopefully this video will get you guys some information and make some of you feel better and understand. Just remember, just because you're in a midlife crisis doesn't mean it's a bad thing, and it really could be a turning point for a good thing in your life. I'm Biospheric, and I approve this message, and we're out.